Look what I got! A Lego City thing! Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. And no, this isn't actually a Lego playset. I hadn't actually intended to film this bit at all, but I was unaware of the box that it came in. So we're just going to have a look. Good God. That is a good box. Anyway, let's have a look inside. I've opened this part of it, so it's going to make it easier to get out. And since I think he's skilled enough at reading video titles enough by now, he's skilled enough to do that, then you probably know what this is. It is another iBook. Let's get this unwrapped. He's wrapped it well, mind. This looks like it's in some kind of spidery webby thing. It's just a load of cling film. Where's the end? Oh, hang on. Foot stepping in naturally. Let's just do this off camera. It's going to be much easier. And there it is. And what you also notice, it's not missing the Apple logo. He was right when he said this smelled a little smoky. The other one doesn't, but this one does. But, I mean, I will compare this probably later on. But the other one is far more discoloured than this, especially on here. It's like a yellowy colour. And it's missing this one. In fact, most of them actually are. All of the 466 gigahertz... no, actually, no. Let's not give it too much credit. 466 megahertz iBooks. They tend to have the Apple missing. But this one's good. This one's got it. I mean, the only other ones that are graphite coloured that actually have the logo usually are the slightly silvery coloured 366 megahertz ones from the original series. I think they're from the original series. This is like the Model 2 in a way. Let's have a quick look at it. I mean, this is also typically something that gets cracked or discoloured, but that's really good. Let's have a look at the bottom. That's also excellent. But this does highlight the problem that we do have. It's missing its drive door. Now, I do have that on the other one. But first, I'll just need to sort of look at how that connects in, because I don't know if it clips on the front of this. If it does, I'll just probably have to take the drive out the other one, but it's okay because they're identical. Everything looks good. Let's just have a quick look inside. Now that looks pretty damn good. There's no cracking around the Apple logo as far as I can see. The light isn't too good here. I mean, you got the orangey, yellowy evening light coming in. I've just come in from work as well. And as well as the light in the ceiling is pretty wimpy when it comes to that. But I'll have a look a bit later when I compare the other one. Off the bat, the mouse button doesn't seem quite as clicky as mine. I'll probably just swap that over. But this is looking very promising. And from what I have seen, it does have an installation of OS 9 on it. Mine does too, but mine's packed with software. So I might just switch the drives before I do the things that I'm going to do to it, if you know what I mean. Let's actually try power this on. I know he said it wouldn't, but maybe it does a little bit. I don't know. No, it's completely dead. It also came with the power adapter, which is always a great thing to have. I mean, I'll need it when I power the thing up. As well as stuff to do with the documentation. Oh, look, he uses little circles to dot his eyes. Very nice. Let's just tip the damn thing out, actually. Okay, so you've got an original instruction manual. That's nice. You've got quick start guide. Probably won't make use of that. I mean, it's a computer after all, it's not rocket science. And oh god, Apple Care protection plan. Yes, I don't think I'll be able to get that now. I think I left it too long. And we get the obligatory Apple stickers, but they're kind of vintagey now, so I think we'll probably just keep them to one side. I think that's software. I mean, it looks like there's a disc in it. It's got round bits. What the hell's this? Let's have a look. Oh, it's a helpline type thing, or presumably it's the last vestiges of those old registration forms you used to get. I mean, come on, nobody does that anymore. But yeah, let's assume that's what it is. I'll read that later. Let's just have a quick look in this thing. And this is really nice to have. I mean, I would normally have had to buy this separately, and I was actually thinking about doing it, at least for some of it, like the one at the end. But you've got the iBook software restore. Presumably that's the... well, it's got software install and restore. I guess that's a bit more like OS 10 utilities now, and that's just a separate install disk, but these are probably just... The modern equivalent has those combined. Just put them aside. iMovie 2. Now I might just try, just for shits and giggles, to try and edit a movie on this, on my iBook, with iMovie. That's going to be a challenge and a half, but it sounds like a whole lot of fun, so we're going to try and do that. Apple hardware test, which was then later built into Macs, and which is now basically just the diagnostic test equivalent today. That's going to be a good thing to do, because it will just tell me if there's any problems. Not that it's really going to be too much of a problem for me, because most likely if it's going to be hardware, I'll just buy another one off eBay, but that is excellent. I mean, it's not like there was one which went in its original box, but I'm not really bothered about this. I mean, look at all that. I've got an iBook, I've got a charger, I've got original software and stuff that came with it. This is amazing. Now, today is the 8th of May. Probably, by the time I get around to this, it'll be a lot later, because I wasn't really prepared initially when I saw this on eBay. I just bought it because I thought, oh my god, it's in way better condition than mine. There was always going to be modifications to my iBook. SSD, you know, putting extra RAM into it, using it and just generally having fun. I haven't got the bits for this yet, but if I order them quickly, I might just have them by probably next Tuesday, which is when I'm next off. I'm off tomorrow and the next day, but yeah, too late. I think I'll just probably compare the two and maybe just repair the optical drive while I'm at it. But this thing apparently is a bugger to get apart, so possibly the next bit of video you see might be done tomorrow, might be done the next day, possibly in a week's time. Who knows? I'm crap with these videos. But anyway, right now is the 8th of May. Let's compare it to next time. Right, okay. So it's a few weeks later, and all of the parts have arrived, and I'm just dropping them all over the floor. Right, so the iBook is ready. I will go into exactly what's going to happen next, although I am doing this at about, let's have a look, 18 minutes past 11 on the, god, my brain's died, on the 2nd of June. So, yeah, I could have done this earlier, but I was busy doing other things, i.e. just not doing very much. I'm off work at the moment, and it's fantastic. So I'm running out of time to do this before I actually have to speak to people again. So let's get to it. I'm just going to first of all in this little segment show you the parts I've got. More than likely this is going to have to be done tomorrow, because there's going to be a lot of things are going to be done to this, and that requires a lot of time and attention. So let's get on with it. First up is something that I know people are going to give me flack about, but I'm going to give all my reasons in just a little bit, and that is the storage. I'm upgrading this thing to an SSD. Currently it's got the maximum hard drive it would have come with is the 10GB model of whatever that is, but this is a 60 gig SSD. Wanted 64. They told me, even though I'd already ordered it with one left, oh, I'm sorry, we've run out of 64 gigs. Do you want a 60? I was like, fine, whatever, just give me something. And that's it. The reason why I'm using an SSD is, to be perfectly honest, 10 gigs is shit. It's not much space to store things. Not that it would necessarily be filled, but what the hey. Yes, the speed advantage is going to be pretty small, because this thing uses an ATA2 interface, which at the most, I've probably said this, only has 16 megabytes a second or so transfer speed, which is fairly low. It's just more than half the of USB 2. So while this is not going to sort of set the world alight in terms of SSD speeds, it does give the following. It'll be silent, because the hard drives in these things are bloody loud. I'll have to start one up and sort of film it. But you, yes, you definitely know this thing is on with that one. Also, it's going to run a lot cooler. I mean, I don't know if the hard drive gets that hot anyway. Also, even if it was the case I was replacing this hard drive because it was defective, you can't really get these hard drives still. I mean, 10 gigs are small, plus any mechanical drive right now. It's hard to get an IDE-based mechanical drive of that size, or something of this era anyway, if you wanted to keep it era correct. So this is the best way, and I've got something else to go along with that. Enter the enclosure adapter, and this is just basically a board. It's got some screws, which has on one side an M-SATA connection, and on the other it's got an ID or parallel ATA socket thing. And this is going to be especially useful because pretty much the reason why I'm doing it this way as well is ID SSDs are typically crap, and they don't come in high capacities. And all the ones I've seen are, like the OWC Mercury is one of them. It's ridiculously priced for the capacity. I mean, you could, at the most, fit in 128 gigs, I feel 60 is enough. But it's better just to use one of these because it works absolutely fine. And from what I've heard, people have been able to do this in an iBook and it does work just fine. What's interesting about this, I'll just do a little aside here. So that's the one I bought recently. I actually had this one, and I mean this literally arrived today when I was just thinking about starting the whole job on this. This one was bought for the PowerBook, and it also basically is one of the same. I thought at the time, well, just buy an IDE SSD, how bad can they actually be? And then I found out when I got home, I'd paid a bit much for something which is basically one of those. The SSD is elsewhere at the moment, but as you see, it's identical pretty much, apart from this little silver strip. Literally, when I thought that to myself, this dropped through the door today, and I was just like, well, fine, we've got all the parts. I could actually do the PowerBook now, because that's been waiting for weeks. I've had all the bits for it, I just haven't bothered doing anything, but yeah. I could even mix and match all these parts. I could save the black for the PowerBook, and then this one for this one. Even though it does say 128 on it, that's kind of irrelevant. It's only a sticker. Yeah, I'm ready to go. So that is the key essential part in making the hard drive work. But there's something else which is going to be quite important too. Enter the RAM. Generally, these units had 64 megabytes on the board soldered, but you could add up to 512 in an additional stick. Most of them that did have a memory upgrade seem to be up to 192 currently, so they had an additional 128 megabyte stick. But I'm maxing this one out. It seems like when I bought this, it was easier and cheaper to buy two than it was to buy a single stick. I think this was like £9 cheaper having two of them. So that's a definite bargain. Came all the way from the US, because this seems to be the only place selling them, and this is really rare stuff. I couldn't find it on eBay to save me life. I had to do like a 2 search before I realised what I was looking for, because it's not very well sort of labelled, and the description then said, oh, PC 66, because if you look up the iBook specifications on Mac Tracker, that is what we're looking for. So that's going to take this thing all the way from 64 meg up to 576. So with all of that being said, so we've got the RAM, we've got the caddy, we are ready to do this. But of course tonight it's a bit late. And what I actually have planned for this, what this and the earlier iBook that I bought have got in common, is they both have bits that don't work. And they'll have to be swapped. But I'm tired, so I think I'll just go over this tomorrow. Maybe. Or it could be another few weeks. Well, it looks like I did it again. Since the last video, nothing's happened on the iBook project. It's now the 4th of March and there's been a bit of a change in the project. I've been all geared up to do work on this, and I kept meaning to, but as I say, there has been a change in the project. I saw something on eBay that is basically going to change the course of this sort of upgrade. There is still going to be an upgraded iBook, perhaps not this one, however. So I'm going to break this video here. Thanks for watching so far, and sorry for the lack of action, but yeah, better things are coming. Whoop, can't show you that.